Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Headlines. It's Monday, and it's a great day. It's a great day to start the week. It is a Monday, so we start the week on Mondays. Today is October 19th, and as always, we're gathered here live on Facebook, 10:30 in the morning, to share all kinds of news, headlines, stories, tips, comments, and suggestions to help us have a better life here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, as an English-speaking community. And as always, it is so great to see you and to read your comments, which are very funny and very, very wonderful. And it's just great to be here. It's just great to be here. Yesterday was Sunday Fun Day. We had a lot of fun, and I see there are some repercussions of that because yesterday we shared something that had to do with Namaste. And all I can say, Michael, is the answer to your question is ever so slightly. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyhow, we get together with friends that live here in Puerto Vallarta. I hear volume. Turn it up. Let me try that. Nya, nya, nya. Is that better? I hope my volume is better. Yes, my volume is better. I took care of that. Volume is high. My buttons are getting a little old, and I don't mean my buttons up here, but my mixer, I've had my mixer for a long time. So I think we're loud. I think we're loud. We are in the red, actually. I don't want to be in the red because we don't want to distort your eardrums either. Anyhow, I think we are where we're supposed to be. And as I was saying, it is always nice to get together with new friends that join us from here, from Puerto Vallarta. There's also a lot of people that joined us that are returning to Puerto Vallarta pretty soon. We get a fair amount of tourists that discover the show and think that the show is for tourists. Well, it kind of is, but we're focused primarily on the comings and goings of those of us that choose to live here on a full-time basis and that essentially live as locals. We just happen to speak English. So now the volume is too high. Somebody's saying, ouch. Okay, hold on. We aim to please here at Coffee and Headlines. I think this is good. It's not as loud, but if I burst into laughter, as I've known to do, then everybody is going to be fine. Anything else? Can I get you coffee? Can I get you good news? I have some good news. I have some challenging news to share. And I see that a couple of you caught the fact that you saw my setup at the beginning, and it looks like this. And what we're going to do is later on today, I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour so that you can see how you too can have your own Coffee and Headline show with a little bit of gear and a little bit of knowledge and whatnot. Anyhow, I see a bunch of you friends from all over the place. It is great to see you. Portland is in the house. This is great. Sausalito is in the house. Las Canoas and Emiliano Zapata are in the house. If you happen to be new to these broadcasts, by the way, my name is Paco, and we'd love to find out that you're new. You can let us know by writing the word new in your comments, and that way we'll give you a proper welcome. Along those lines, if you have important comments that you want to share with everybody, feel free to add the letter Q at the beginning so that we can address them during the show. And I hesitated a little bit because of Heather's comment. My trying to navigate the emergency button issue is something referred to as a dimmer switch. Yes, this is true. Are you tired of hearing about the fracking emergency button? Raise your hand if you are, because I know that I am, and it is absolutely it's tiresome because week after week we're told, well, something may happen and nothing happens, and it is tiring to live in the pandemic. But we try to make the best of it. We try to make the best of it, keep our spirits high, and making sure that we get used to living with this new tenant. Skipping through the comments about the volume. Yes, yes, yes. I know, Jorge. I live to torture you. What can I say? Just kidding. Just kidding. Let's see. Well, lots of great. Oh, Joe is back in town. Welcome back to Puerto Vallarta, Joe. It is always great to see that folks are able to get here. Kimberly has arrived as well, as I can see. Hopefully, no more of those flight cancellations that some of you are sharing lately. Let's see what else. Well, I think we are all set to get started with the news for this morning. And of course, it is Monday. We look at the latest COVID figures from our governor on Mondays, and it ain't looking good. We didn't push the button this week, but it is not looking good. Let us dive in and just get it out of the way so that we can continue listening to the agua guy, which is whistling out from the window. Let me stop to see if we can hear him again. Oh, so now the agua guy turns shy on me. Anyhow, we're jumping into the news. Let's take a look. Anyhow, as I mentioned earlier, things are not looking great. Unfortunately, this week we reached the highest number ever of active cases, active COVID cases. It is up to 364.2 per million inhabitants. Occupation at hospital occupation has become a little lower, and we'll take a look at the comparison in a second. But what is worth showcasing, just for starters, is that the number of active cases is the highest it's ever been. And if it continues on that direction, it is expected, according to this article, and this article could be speculative, of course, it is expected that we will reach the emergency button in 2 weeks' time. So we've been talking lately about what the emergency button would mean, and let's hope that it doesn't get to that. But let us dive into this matter by first looking at the comments that Enrique Alfaro gave us this time around. This week, hospital occupation dropped from 574 to 566 beds with patients suffering from COVID-19, but we went from 348 to 364 active cases per million inhabitants. We haven't reached the 400 number, but we are at the limit. Pause. Okay. What we're hearing is the truck that comes by to sell something or other, so I'm going to have to speak over it. Oh, they're selling stove burners. Like, have you ever wanted to just buy a stove burner from a truck that has a loudspeaker in your neighborhood? Welcome to Mexico. Anyhow, as I was saying, in this new normality, we have to learn to live with the risk, not to ignore it. To push the emergency button is not a decision of a single person, but it is the decision that we'll take based on these figures that we present every Sunday, and it depends on you. It is up to you and all of us to make sure that this doesn't happen. We're still on time. Before you go to a party, before you take off your face masks, or before you get close to other people, remember that ignoring our individual responsibility puts thousands of lives at risk. along with businesses and employment, jobs. Let us not leave our destiny or our future to random. Let us all do what we know we have to do. So, those are the words from Governor Alfaro this week. They sound very similar from the words last week, and that's when I say it becomes a little tiring and challenging to listen to the same thing happen over and over again. But this is part of the new normality, I'm afraid. Looking at the figures, indeed, we can see that last week hospital occupation was at 574 beds. It went down to 566, but active cases went from 348 to 364, less than 40 away from the 400 number that would result in the activation of the emergency button. The number of active cases is shown here for the state of Jalisco. I remember when this number used to be somewhere around here, and we've seen over the past the past few weeks how this indicator has been sliding to the left. The highest number of active cases continues to be Baja California Sur by far. And we also see that the number of accumulated cases continues to be down in our state, which is comforting, although the fact that we see that the number of active cases is increasing is an offset to this. Lastly, we look at the mortality rate for the state, and we continue to have a fairly low mortality rate, below national average. And we see that the highest mortality rate continues to be Mexico City, or CDMX, as we call it now. So that's what we have. Moving along with other COVID-related news, and I'd like to do that before we stop for comments and questions. The Secretary of Health for the country, the Federal Secretary of Health, now indicates that there are 8 states with clear signs of COVID comeback. The good news is that Jalisco, our state, is not among them. But unfortunately, to hear that there are 8 states in our country with an increasing number of cases is definitely thought-provoking. The states that have an increasing number of COVID cases are Aguascalientes, Coahuila, Chihuahua, Durango, Nuevo León, Querétaro, and Zacatecas. Curiously, most of these states, if not all, are located in the northern part of the country. So I don't know if there's a specific correlation there, but that's what we're looking at. And curiously, when we look at the national stoplight, it has been the states that are north of the country where the colors seem to get better and better. So it is quite possible that residents in those states are thinking, well, we're out of it. We might as well relax the guidelines. And unfortunately, we've seen the outcome of relaxing the guidelines. Moving right along, there is increasing concern and curiosity among locals as to the fact that people cannot freely hang around at the Malecón or exercise at the municipal track and field, but bars, which are enclosed spaces, are fully open. And yes, I have to agree, this is not something that makes much sense to me, that we cannot go out and exercise in open air spaces, and yet people are allowed to go cluster themselves in discos and nightclubs. Well, those that choose to do that, yours truly chooses not to do that. But again, sometimes these decisions that the local government makes are difficult to understand. Moving right along, a few weeks ago, we started tracking news about whether Day of the Dead would be canceled or not. Excuse me. Several weeks later, we find that Day of the Dead celebrations are canceled in Puerto Vallarta, and for that matter, just about everywhere in Mexico. And now we're turning our attention to what's going to go on with the celebrations to the Virgin of Guadalupe, which we know happen on December the 12th. And here in Puerto Vallarta, we have 12 days of peregrinaciones, or processions where large multitudes of people walk from several points around the city all the way to downtown Puerto Vallarta, where our church is. And of course, we are now tracking what is going on in other points around the country. For example, in Monterrey, we learned that Bishop Rogelio Cabrera has announced that they are working with the government to make sure that the pandemic will not be an obstacle to celebrate the Virgin of Guadalupe. Of course, the celebrations that are religious in nature put the faith face to face with the guidelines that the government is trying to set in place, and I feel certain that as we move forward, we're going to see more of these announcements where the government has to negotiate or come to some kind of agreement with the Catholic churches throughout the country to make sure that this celebration goes on as safely as possible. We have yet to hear anything about this as far as the local government is concerned, but we're going to keep our eyes open. The last COVID-related headline that I have to share with you before we move into your comments has to do with Southwest and Delta and what they are doing to reassure hesitant travelers. This is an article that I found on Yahoo, and it is in English. I haven't read it, and I probably won't because I am not particularly thinking about traveling elsewhere these days. But if any of you are considering coming to Puerto Vallarta or flying somewhere, and you happen to be flying on Southwest or Delta, this article will help you have an understanding as to what these two particular airlines are doing to make you feel safe as you board the plane and you go through the whole process of going from one place to another. Let me take a pause from the news and take a quick look at your comments. We have a lot of things to cover today. La 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 la. Let's see. I see a question. Let me get back to that. Oh dear. Well, you guys are very chatty today, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Where to start? I saw a cue over here. Did I ever tell the story about the arrow on the wall above my TV? I may have missed it. Yes, I did. If you go into our website, paco-ojeda.com, you will find, in fact, I can probably do this right now on air without messing up much of what's going on. I am going to paco-ojeda.com, which is the website where we keep all the Coffee and Headlines articles, along with other content that has to do with art and culture and eating and drinking and exploring the city and so forth and so on. If you scroll down, you will find that a recent entry shows the arrow. There it is, this one. So it is in this particular day, it was on October the 11th, that we talked about the arrow. So what I usually try to do on the website is I will use a photograph that will be some kind of a reminder of what we discussed, so that it can save you some time if you're looking for specific content that we've covered before. Speaking of tour, a while back thought I heard about a tour I did. I do all kinds of tours. I mean, whenever I can, and weather permitting, and logistic permitting, and COVID safety permitting, I am going out and about as much as it is safe with my camera and video, so that I can take a good look at things that you might be interested in looking at. And this is an ongoing adventure. Let's see who else is here. Giancarlo Ugarte sends saludos. Saludos. Let's see. D hopes it's not the last day for a while, listening for the governor's orders. Well, it's something that we're going to keep hearing about on an ongoing basis. What can I say? Lynn asks, are they still driving the streets with COVID practice instructions? You mean the cars that have the loudspeakers? I haven't heard them for a while. I don't know if that is what they're doing. Um, I keep hearing reports such as this one from Heidi saying that folks at the airport are not wearing face masks, and that is unfortunate because it gives our tourists and visitors a bad example um, as to how they should behave here in town while they are here. Um, Trucha is right. Day of the Dead is canceled, but it's going to be rough because we just love going out there and having fun with it, etc., etc. I am keeping myself pretty isolated from the whole thing. Um, Tomas tells us that he heard that police are back out on the Malecon doing mask enforcement. I hope that is correct. Again, I haven't seen that, and I believe that's what this comment from Lisa is about. Um, Lynn asks, are hospital numbers including Nayarit patients in PV hospitals? I don't think the numbers have anything to do with the origin or nationality of the people that are in the hospitals. These are simply hospital beds being occupied in the state of Jalisco, whether they come from Jalisco or other parts of Mexico or other parts of the world. Let's see. Gina, who is involved with airlines, thank you very much for that, Gina, or was involved with airlines. I don't remember. I just know that she sings. Delta is increasing nonstop flights to Puerto Vallarta towards the end of November. This is good to hear. Nonstops from Atlanta and Salt Lake City, in addition to LA. That is wonderful. Whose birthday? Whose birthday? Is it Mushi's birthday today? Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mushi. I hope you have a wonderful birthday today. Yay. Birthdays in the house. I love it. Going very slowly through your questions because, again, Mondays tends to be a day in which you have a lot of questions and concerns. So we try to keep everybody at ease as much as possible. But I think we can continue with the rest of the headlines that I have for you. Let us take a quick look. We have been reporting about former general called they call him El Padrino, this general, Mexican general that was former general that was arrested in the United States, General Salvador Cienfuegos. He was arrested by the Drug Enforcement Agency in the United States for all kinds of drug-related cases and situations. He worked under the government of former Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto. So if you want to know more about who he is and why he matters, there's this whole article from Yahoo in English that you can pursue. Let's see. Local hotels are hoping that El Buen Fin, which is Mexico's equivalent to that weekend, that crazy weekend after Thanksgiving, El Buen Fin will be a good time to for local hotels to generate some much needed income. El Buen Fin, let us remember briefly, it used to be just a weekend, but given the pandemic, the government of Mexico has decided to extend this to go from November 9th to November 19th. El Buen Fin is supposed to have all kinds of great bargains and features that you can find to save some money. It's just like, what is it called in the United States? Black Friday or something like that. You got to shop around to make sure that you get the good deals. Now, if you're thinking about good deals related to hotels, it is possible that hotels may have two kinds of flavors of promotions during El Buen Fin. One could be promotions that you can enjoy during that particular time frame from November 9th to 19th, but it also could be that if you make reservations for future travel during those days, the days that the promotion is going on, you will be able to save some money. We will be keeping our eyes on this as we get closer to the actual date to make sure that if there are good things to take advantage of, we let them know and we share them with all of you here. We hear from Vallarta Opina that tourism is increasing north of the state border in Nuevo Vallarta all the way to Guayabitos. We know this is probably because Riviera Nayarit is starting to do a fair amount of promotion, and also because the beaches are now open to the public, so we hope that this is a good thing. And we also, in a completely different topic, we know that Mexico President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has been on this mission to get both the government of Spain and the Vatican to um, to ask for forgiveness for conquering Mexico, ask for an apology, actually. And apparently, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, our president's efforts were not very well received by the Vatican. The Vatican seems to say, "Nah, we're not sending any apologies. We've apologized for centuries." Again, I don't know. I'm at odds with this situation. I just thought I would share it with you just so that you would know about it. And I'm getting close to the end of my serious news items. This one is somewhat related to what we were talking about the other day in terms of having a clear idea of why real estate developments are able to do what they do or not. Apparently, residents of the Mismaloya zone have noticed that somebody has started building an breakwater just in front of Los Arcos. Not Los Arcos as in the amphitheater here in the city, but Los Arcos, the national protected area that is south of Puerto Vallarta. If you're not familiar with Los Arcos, it is a beautiful area. And apparently, somebody has started building a breakwater. And this is in conjunction with a piece of land that has been cleared next to it, but no information is available at this stage of the game as to what kind of development or building or home or project is going to be built there. But it is fairly well known that these artificial breakwaters or reefs have an impact in the environment, and all we can hope for is that whomever is doing this has obtained the necessary permits to do it, and we'll just have to wait and see to find out more information about this. I've reached the end of the big news, so let us quickly take a look at your comments before we look at the rest of the show. And it's already 11, and I still have a ton of things to share. I certainly hope you are not in a hurry. Thank you for clarifying that, Gina. Still a flight attendant. My goodness, that must be so challenging. My heart goes to you because I don't know. But it'll be interesting, Gina, if you're ever in town to have a conversation, if you're into it, just to learn what it's like to be a flight attendant these days. I would love to hear more about it, and I'm sure that many of our viewers would enjoy that. So I'll buy the coffee and I'll bring the camera and the tape recorder if you're into it. Let us see. Oh, another cancellation. WestJet just canceled Friday flights. I am sorry to hear that. Canceled for the 5th time. How frustrating that must be. I am so sorry to hear that. Oh, this is good news from Trucha. It's good to know that the police are enforcing. Hopefully, this is going to serve a good purpose. I'm going to chime in here. Gayoff, I was worried because I saw that Apaches was closed yesterday, and I didn't know if you guys are okay or not. I hope everything is okay. Doom, bidding, bam, boom, bam, bam. How does someone do that? I think if you're referring to the breakwater, Terry, people just call a number and say, "Hey, I need a crane and I need you to drop a shitload of rocks here." I mean, that's the simple way to look at it. But I would think that anybody building something of that magnitude would have to get a permit from the Semarnat, which is the Natural Resources Secretary here in Mexico. But again, I don't know what the details are for that. La 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 la. Mark would love to hear from Gina, and Gina says definitely. I will look forward to having some quality time with you, Gina. We'll find a nice, safe place to get together and have a safe conversation. Another person that would like to hear about your experiences. Hello, Rita. It's always great to see you here. Uh, Jack is a flight attendant, and if you happen to coincide with us, it would be great to hear from you as well. And and Geoff clarifies that he closed on Sundays. I read on social media that Geoff, with much sadness, has canceled Apache's annual Day of the Dead fiesta for obvious reasons. It's a small venue, and to have a lot of people just hanging around on the sidewalk celebrating Halloween while there's a lot of young kids trying to get, I'm sorry, Day of the Dead, and trying to see along a lot of young kids trying to get some kind of candy or treat or something is probably not the safest idea right now. I congratulate your decision, Geoff. Te mando un abrazo, and it's for the best, I am sure. Let us move on to the weather, and then we move on to all kinds of fun and interesting things. Bam! What do we got? We got 28 degrees that feel like 34 degrees. On Celsius, that would be 82 degrees. I mean, on Fahrenheit, that would be 82 degrees. We have 93% humidity and a 7% chance of rain right now. What is going on with the humidity? What is going on with this crazy heat wave? I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, let us take a look at the forecast for today. We can expect humidity and partly cloudy day with a high temperature of 32 and a low of 25. That's so low, it's just whatever. Tomorrow, Tuesday, it's going to be humid and partly cloudy, again with a high temperature of 32 degrees. And on Wednesday, humid and partly cloudy through the day, again with a high temperature of 32 degrees Celsius. What's going on with the weather? Well, apparently there is a heat wave traveling through the area, and we will continue to feel a lot of heat that will feel a lot hotter than it is. I don't have a clear explanation as to why this is happening because I'm not a weather expert. I am just a make-believe weatherman. But this is just a heat wave that is not moving, and it seems to be over our region, and it will continue to be there at least for the next few days. Somebody is sending me WhatsApp messages, and I'm going to ignore them because I'm having a lot of fun with you. This one, oh my God, this one bumped me out. And I'm going to share it because just a few days ago, we had closed the show with some really good news. And one of the good news had to do with this television anchor lady who was reading the news about somebody proposing marriage, and it turned out that it was her boyfriend that was proposing marriage, and it was all caught on tape. And I shared the link so that you could watch it. This was happening on Channel 11 from Mexico City. And Channel 11 is the channel of the Polytechnic Institute of Mexico. It's the IPN channel, and it is close to the equivalent of a PBS station. So what happens in Mexico when a news anchor goes out of character and goes, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm getting married, and her boyfriend comes on the scene and hugs her, and they kiss, and they profess all kinds of love for one another? Well, there are people that are praising the situation, but there are people that are frowning on it, which I think it's a little bit of extreme, and it shows something about the cultural differences between our country and, say, north of the border, where in the United States and in other countries, we constantly see newscasters breaking character and having snafus and bloopers and so forth and so on, and nobody seems to mind it. That said, I've never seen my Judy Woodruff lose her cool on PBS NewsHour, and I don't know that we ever will, but unfortunately, this particular newscaster had to go online and on social media and clarify that the video that we saw, her name is Carla Contreras, the video that we saw was not even broadcast live. Somebody just made it available to share, and I believe it was one of her relatives. So it is unfortunate that some people just thought she brought a negative reaction to the prestigiousness of the television channel. Heaven forbid people should not be authentic and real, but that's just my thought. Music theater lovers, rejoice. We know that Broadway HD has had a catalog of Broadway musicals for many, many years that you can download and watch by paying a monthly fee. Of course, this catalog is not available in Mexico. I've always wanted to have a Broadway HD membership to watch some of the Broadway musicals that I love so much. You need to tinker with your IP address in order to be able to do it. And, oh, Rita Meyer says Judy Woodruff is her Judy Woodruff. Can we share, Rita? I love Judy Woodruff. She is an awesome newscast lady, and I love her. One of these days, I'm going to do my impersonation of Judy Woodruff again as to when she enjoys the interviews and when she doesn't enjoy the interviews, because I've detected that she behaves and reacts in a very specific way when she thinks that the interviewee is an asshole and where she actually feels some empathy for the interviewee. But I'm not going to amuse you with that. Maybe we'll do that on Sunday Funday. Anyhow, going back to the topic at hand, Broadway broadcasts. We cannot enjoy them in Mexico through Broadway HD unless we mess around with our IP address. But Teatrix, which is an Argentinian company, is bringing their catalog to Mexico. You may very well not know this, but in Latin America, Argentina and Mexico are probably the two countries where musical theater is most sophisticated. And I'm talking about Broadway type productions or Spanish version of Broadway shows, along with any kind of theatrical presentation. And the good thing is that Teatrix is coming to Mexico. I took a quick look at their website. Obviously, their catalog of performances is in Spanish, or I believe it is in Spanish. But the good news is that you can get a membership for this. I believe I took a quick look and it's less than $7 per month. And you have access to all kinds of theater performances, most of which I imagine have been presented in Argentina, but I assume that a lot of performances from Mexico are also going to be added to this catalog. I am very, very intrigued because not always do we have the opportunity to see quality theater being produced in Latin America here in Mexico. So I am excited about exploring this. I will take a look and I will find out if any of these are presented with English subtitles. And if so, I will be so very happy to share these news with you. Moving right along, I found this useful. I thought this was useful, this article from Excelsior that talks about 9 things that you can do at OXO that maybe you didn't know about. You know, OXOs are so ubiquitous now. And aside from buying chingaderas that we shouldn't be eating and crunchy food and sodas and beers, this article talks about the fact that you can pay credit cards, make payments to cell phones, pay your utilities. You can even open a savings account with a low cost and low fees. You can buy gift cards, you can buy bus tickets, you can send money, you can recharge your phone, and you can even get micro insurance. You can withdraw cash and whatnot. So in case you want to know of all these wonderful money-related things that you can do at OXOs, aside from buying cupcakes and things like that, this article is for you. I like this article about El Salado because this shows a very funky photograph. I think this has been photoshopped to the brim. And this is about the El Salado estuary here in Puerto Vallarta. We've talked about this urban estuary before, and it is one of the most important sources of oxygen for our city, and it can be visited for a very, very nominal fee. And the beautiful thing is that once you enter the estuary on a canoe and you get to see all the plants and animals that live there, you get to this observation tower. And from this observation tower, you can see all the greenery. You can actually appreciate how large the estuary is. These would be the buildings of Medina Asensio in the distance. So taking a look at El Salado is something that I highly recommend. I haven't done it in a while, and it's on my list of places where I should go with my camera. And I totally recommend that you do this. Of course, we know that El Salado is located along Medina Asensio as you're heading north, right after where Sam's and Liverpool and all those stores are. You drive a little bit further, and the access to El Salado is on the right hand side. Did you ever know that there is a mast with an iguana in it at Mismaloya? And do you know where it is? I certainly don't, but according to this news item, it has been restored to its originality. I think it may date from where Night of the Iguana was filmed there. And the city, the Department of Culture, invested 30 million pesos to restore this post with an iguana on it. I don't know exactly where it is, but it is good to see that it's being restored because hopefully it'll encourage people to uh, visit this particular location. It is unfortunate, however, that the actual set for the Night of the Iguana is not something that we can reach because it is located in a private property that has been under legal dispute for as long as I can remember. But at least you can get close to where it was the movie was filmed. It's difficult to know whether any of the set has been kept through the years. I remember I went into the set or what the remains of the set about 17 years ago. I had just arrived in Puerto Vallarta, and even then it was in disrepair. So with over 15 years having gone by, it's hard to tell what's going on in there. Almost to the end of the show, a very kind viewer sent me this notice of neutering, neutering campaign. Is it neutering or spaying? I forget what the word is. But if you want your doggies or your kitty cats to not produce any more doggies and kitty cats, here is an opportunity to bring your animals to a wonderful store that I'll talk about, which is called New Animal. This is a production or a project organized by Peace Animals. And Peace Animals is a local nonprofit that oversees the neutering of dogs and cats. And this is going to go on at the beginning of November, Wednesday 4th, Thursday 5th, Friday 6th, and Saturday 7th of November in Colonia Cinco de Diciembre. We're going to be talking about this as we get closer. But I was so delighted to see that this is going on at New Animal. And New Animal is a new home decor space. It's a gorgeous little shop that sells a lot of handmade products. It is owned by Liam and Alex. Alex is from Monterrey. Liam is from Australia, and I had an opportunity to visit their shop before the pandemic because a good friend of mine was teaching paper mache classes there. And I was quite taken by the owner. I had the opportunity to meet Liam, and unfortunately, the pandemic came, and the classes had to be suspended. Liam got in touch with me not too long ago, and I know that he watches the show from time to time, and he told me that they had reopened. So I am so very happy to mention this particular shop, and I invite you to get to know them through Facebook. They have all kinds of beautiful products available there to decorate your home. And it is located in a part of Cinco de Diciembre where you just would not expect this kind of business. So I'm going to leave you with their Facebook page so that you can get to know them better. And of course, if you have dogs or cats that need to be neutered, that will be a great opportunity to visit. Let me take a look at your comments before we get to a little mini tour of my coffee and headlines setup and a last bit of news that will hopefully make you smile. La 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 la. Let me see. The fight for Judy Woodruff. We've gone through that. Rita likes my Judy Woodruff impersonation. I will bring it back one of these days. How was Sunday Fun Day at Mercurio? Paul, huge disclaimer. Paul, the owner of the hotel, is my dear, dear, dear friend. Number two, Paul's companies, both his hotel and his male swimwear line are my clients. I do social media for them. I do video production for them. So this may sound a little biased, but I know and I see for a fact that my friend Paul and his staff go through extreme lengths to make sure that both guests at the hotel and daytime visitors have a most wonderful, comfortable, safe, friendly, festive environment within the allowances that the current circumstances provide. I was there all afternoon. I had a blast. I met a couple of people that have watched Coffee and Headlines. I made some new friends, and it was just a great thing to do. And selfishly enough, I asked for a place to stay. I asked to spend the night. So I must say that a night in an air-conditioned room was definitely welcome. This morning, I'm back in my apartment, which is a little roasty, And Luna welcomed me, saying, I was like, "What the fuck? Where were you?" But she's okay now, and we're going to spend the rest of the day just pampering one another because we love each other. Let me see. Thank you for that, Michael. Absolutely. Argentina and Mexico are famous for sophisticated musical theater. So I'll be very intrigued to see how this new service functions. Thank you for the shout out, Julie. I know that you have been involved with Peace and that you have hosted spay and neuter clinics in the past. So it is wonderful to hear that. La 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 la. Paul has a swimwear line. Yes, it is called Mercurio Swim, and I produce all the sexy photography for it. I produce all the sexy videos of the male models. Somebody has to suffer, of course. And I'll be so very happy to leave you with the Facebook page so that you can get to know Paul's. You can get to know Paul's line. And I see that Sean asks, "Namaste?" question mark. And all I have to say is sorta kinda. But I'm not going to go into details. I just met nice people. And that's what Hotel Mercurio is for, to meet nice people, of course. So, in case you want to start your very own Coffee and Headlines, I took this photograph just before we started the broadcast today. And I know that because I can even see myself in my monitor. So, in case you're wondering what I look at when I'm looking at you, there is my main camera, which is hanging on top of my laptop. There is my microphone, which you can see suspended. I was told yesterday that I have a huge microphone, and I blushed like a schoolgirl. I swear I did. My two reflectors, some of my male photography collection in the back, a lot of male models and male friends that I've had the pleasure to photograph. This is my monitor where I turn this way to look at my headlines and my news. There's a little stuffed version of Luna that somebody gifted me a long time ago. There's all my accessories and chingaderas. Those are my reading glasses. There's my tape recorder. These are a bunch of business cards that I need to enter into my database. There is my iPad, and my iPad allows me to comfortably switch from one scene to another one. The iPad is where I point when I do this, and I go back to the photograph, and it is the iPad that I point at to start the "Have a Nice Day" music at the end of the show. So this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like to put together one of these broadcasts, or at least this is my personal setup. It is always messy, so I never want to show it, but this is how I do this. And to wrap things up today, I see that we've gone a fair amount of time, and I appreciate the fact that still 133 of you are with me. So because you're still with me, I'm going to gift you a smile by sharing some photographs that I absolutely loved this morning. This is Doña Manuelita. She is a lady of age. Let me scroll down to show you more about Doña Manuelita. Doña Manuelita is, let's see, do we know her age? Doña Manuelita lives in a small town called La Unión in Álvaro Obregón, which is a municipality in the southern part of Quintana Roo, close to the border with Belize. She is 97 years old, and thanks to the kindness of her grandchildren or her great grandchildren, she went to see the ocean for the first time in her life. And the look on her face in these photographs is absolutely endearing. So if you take a look at any of the headlines that I share with you, or if you pick one headline to take a look at in the show notes, I suggest you look at this one, because seeing this 97-year-old woman, her expression as she looks at the ocean, something that we have here every day, something that we take for granted, how easy it is to forget that there are people, at least here in Mexico, and I'm sure in other places, but there are people here in Mexico that have never been on a plane. There are people here in Mexico that don't know how to drive, that they've never driven, or people that have never seen the ocean. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So I hope you will take some time to take a look at these photographs, and I hope these photographs brighten your day the way they have brightened mine. And of course, as we reach the end of today, I thank you, as I always do, for brightening my day, for bringing comments, thoughts, ideas, suggestions to my mind, and to Luna's, of course, to keep our broadcasts useful, purposeful, and inspiring for all of you. With that thought in mind, I wish you an awesome beginning of the week. Be safe, wear your face mask. You know what we have to do. And if it comes to the emergency button being pushed, we'll live through it. It'll be a challenging thing for many, I am sure, but hopefully, if we continue to spread good vibes and common sense among the people that are in our personal clusters, then we will continue to inspire positive change, and change that will help us through this new normal that we're living through. Stay kind, stay safe, stay in touch, and I will see you soon. Have a great day.